Hello and thank you all for watching. This is Manny Sunny Sun for an astrological monthly prediction for the Sun in Scorpio. Scorpio, of course, is the second of the water sign of the zodiacal series that evokes the middle of autumn and the disintegration, flora preparing to be reborn, ruled by Pluto, of the death and rebirth and transformational. Scorpio is analogous to the 8th house, which in astrology, the 8th house represents death, transformation, and secrets or the occult. So, to set this portrait in the style of the native of Scorpio, analogous of this sign, the psychology of this planet, and the description of this sign can produce a worse in terms of humanity. We will finish then with examples of personalities strongly influenced by the Plutonian values. So let's begin with a scorpionic portrait of this sign. So, well, I think I scared in good Scorpio before our charming Libra, which is pretty funny because I did nothing aggressive or even brusque, but I can disturb probably because I have a strong magnetism and that I easily impose upon me upon others by mere presence. I'm not going to make a long speech about me. This is not the kind of home for Scorpios to ponder more than he speaks. For starters, I am one of the people who know what they want and who else know to find ways to get it. In fact, in life, everything is in questions of means like money, knowledge, love, give or receive. Everything is there. I like to think deeply about things and people to get the bottom of things. Understanding for good, not just to see. Therefore, what I feel like, what I think is intense because of long maturity, my main weapon, I am aware of my intuition, or rather my clairvoyance. I know because I feel, and I even sometimes feel to know about others, what they know not of themselves. Besides, I think I'm a search to discover, understand, to go beyond appearances. Give the Scorpion enigma here an insoluble problem and spirit boils. The other tell me of the unfathomable, and I want to believe because of the greatest mystery, and of course that describes me again. If I am a pretty secret for others, believe me, it's because I'm a secret to my own self, and I have ceased to wonder about the meaning of all this. The life, death, sex, money, in short, everything that moves this world. At work, I am fully invested, and I like how my Virgoan friend unsuspected resources. In addition, obstacles tend to motivate me. To summarize me pretty well, we could say that I'm passionate, phlegmatic, calm and measured in appearance, and intense, magmatic inside. I am independent and critical, hardly touches me, because I am sure of myself. In any case, the Scorpio does not need anyone to question it. I am told by other people I'm authoritarian. As for me, I prefer to think I'm mostly decided by its natural that my will eventually meet those of others, and I confront that. But I actually do not care about the order of time, but I can decide my own actions and also those of others, so that they do not hinder mine. Finally, it is true that the power is something fascinating, especially when we lose faith. Well, no need to look further. You'd understand if you were Scorpio. In love, it is all or nothing. I'm possessive, I'm jealous, I know to be essential and essential. I want to be everything to each other, and the other is mine. Sex is also a kind of fascinating power, especially when this is in the sublime. Look no further unless you're a Scorpio. In fact, it is the extremes that attract me. Half measures and warm situations can only bore me. I am hot and spicy. My main qualities for my sign, the franchise is first. Do not ask me if I want a beautiful lie, because I say that I think if you ask it to me, and if not, I shut up, and I do not think less. Does this make me to be ruthless? Believe it. If you like it, it is far from the truth, because I do not hesitate to defend the weak and oppose me strong. I am sociable, nothing more than that. I like to discuss, provided that the subject interests me, and if not, solitude or silence does not bother me. I am a loyal friend, caring, generous. For the cons of this sign, I never forget a move, and I am prepared to wait all the time it takes to get my revenge. It is unthinkable for me not to leave them unpunished crimes. Finally, I have convictions, beliefs, perhaps not certainly, but a spiritual vision of the world. Although some of my Scorpio remains in the materialistic, very perfect. But this is another story. I've already said too much. Sagittarius is still our friend by the mountains and its valleys. And it's me that tends the article that he comes back. And this role suits me. Everything has a purpose after all. Certain analogous terms for this Scorpio sign, where you can find Scorpios will be in morgue, cemeteries, undergrounds, brothels, philosophies and religions associated with this occultism and tantric. Analogous for this sign is the 8th house, Pluto. Symbolism for this sign, I would say, is intense sexual, fiery passion, instinct, magnetism, metamorphosis, transformation, sex, death, rebirth, money. Professions you will find for Scorpios would be psychologist, forensic scientists, criminologists, bankers, insurers. Scorpio rules the genitals, the rectum, and certain some qualities of this is ambitious, wholeness, fascinating, sensual, passionate. Certain characteristics I just named here. Certain analogies for this sign. Pluto is one of the farthest planets in our solar system. It was discovered in 1930 by Clyde Tombaugh, an American astronomer. It is a small diameter, slightly lower than our moon, and has actually made observations difficult as if Pluto was hidden from view, hidden in the darkness of space. We can already conclude that Pluto concerns about the occult, hidden, difficult to understand and observe. In addition, the small size has earned Pluto, at the time of his writing, to be reclassified as a dwarf planet. Series alongside the symbolism of this quarrel of an astronomer about how to classify a celestial body in and of itself about the nature of the planet question. The transformations are indeed Plutonian in values. Furthermore, the fact that Pluto is now tied with Ceres gives the importance to it because of the effects of Pluto. And its governance of the sign of Scorpio are more to prove. And it follows that the body of the same template of Ceres, let alone much closer to the Earth, must indeed be regarded as an essential planet to astrologers who questioned for decades the importance to give it and its possible control over the sign of Virgo. Pluto, again, plays here in indirect effect the role of the esoteric guide and initiator, not hesitating to question our perception of things as in astronomy than in astrology. Certain mythological analogies for this particular sign. Pluto is related to Hades and is necessary to get rid and previously accepted ideas of our background in the Christian culture to be seen in the context in which these myths were created. While Pluto is indeed the god of the underworld of antiquity, it would be necessary very serious in its misunderstandings as to infer that it is the devil. Hades is one of the 12 main gods of Olympus, and as such we can say that it is indeed core in its value of life, or rather the existence and the afterlife, since its reign is done over the dead. So here we find the idea of transition beyond the typical Plutonian realm. Hades may yet prove sweet and generous towards men. Placid is agrarian god, and it is depicted holding a cornucopia, the wealth giver. It is on the other side of Pluto, the giver, which robs the other, which makes, of course, material life possible, also called then Plutus. The abduction of Persephone is passionate lover, instinctive and uncontrollable, but also fascinating because at the end kidnapped the goddess and falls madly in love with her kidnapper, being captivated by the magic of the pomegranate kernel. Here we must see the passion and the intense magnetism of Hades. Symbolic analogous because Pluto is an instinctual planet, but also because of his appeasement following the sexual act. It is regarded as a little death. Pluto, of course, governs sexuality because he uses his charm and stratagem, but also it rules over the world intermediate between the divine and the human. It is also the master of magic and the occult, because in tandem with his wife, Persephone, sometimes prevails on the abundance of the harvest and sometimes of the off-seasons. The Scorpio is a sign of autumn when life is falling asleep. It is, as one, a symbol of wealth, and accounting in the donations and deprivations as the time cycle. The portrait of a dominant Plutonian or Scorpionic chart, it is not necessary to be a Scorpion to have all these features, indeed. In the natal chart of Pluto, it is the ruling planet. To see the calculations on the dominant lexicon, natives naturally develop these qualities and defects of these planets, and the mistress traditionally the sign of Scorpio. However, the dominance of a Pluto shows subtle shades of temperament compared to the dominance of his own Scorpionic sign. So, here's a portrait of a Plutonian type. More than any other, Pluto is one of the power of attraction, no doubt due to the great inner strength that emanates from him, and which sometimes can be subjugated, sometimes worried. In the nature is uncompromising, but built on the notion of absolute extreme, pushes him to want to explore most routes that are darkest and most mysterious. The facility is not for him, and he excels in difficult situations with will to unravel the secrets of the most intractable. The challenges that stimulates this sign is to throw himself headlong into the task that frightens others. It is the researcher, the untiring of questions that are being asked. His constant research and reflections lead him to many discounts in matter of himself, his life, and those of others that consider his life as a perpetual evolution, fearing of inaction and action. To thrive in the need to transform this commitment can be translated differently from one individual to another, but still indicating a desire to leave his mark on this world. It may be a handyman, manipulator, artist, psychiatrist, etc. No matter what the time, the finger key or spirit, the heart of the matter, or the depths of the soul, and it changes the content. It is indeed has an inordinate desire to transform things to the test of several angles, because he knows how to cross the truth exist somewhere beyond appearances, varnishes, and the obvious things like the aspect of people. Restive, any form of packaging, oppression, and crystallization. The Plutonian archetype is very controlling, strong, individualistic, whose main social goal is to disassociate himself from the mass, or to conform to more to conform to his interiority. Often ironic or cynical, the provision of a specific spirit of the Plutonian is the index of the distance he puts himself and the world, because it is too suspiciously without being pessimistic. However, he sees the bad side before the good things, because again, for him, what is hidden is always more instructive than what exhibits. And thus, the facts are more interesting than the qualities. On the outside, it seems calm, yet he hides himself in his ferment. It is both a rebel, a creative, and passionate. The personality of the Plutonian archetype is entirely built on duality. It destroys to rebuild, to suffer or suffer, to be the master or the slave, to evolve or to die. His choices are always extreme because it is not being of moderation or of temperance. This is an exclusive, possessive, jealous, living in intensity, having little extent. It is, of course, spiteful and sensitive, but beware. It is also an opponent that is very loyal. Also, it is better to take it front of trying to have it by treachery and lies. Moreover, it might just beat this game. The Plutonian archetype has a rather special design of the possession. He will do anything to get what he wants, but once it has, it really interests them and may even get rid of it to do it carelessly. In this, the Plutonian reminds me of a well-fed feline hunting for fun and excitement will leave his half-dead prey to abandonment. In love, the partners will therefore be very wise to arrange for foster constantly so that it keeps intact his interest and desire. A scorpionic vitriolic portrait of this sign, if humans can improve or evolve, erasing its faults and highlighting its qualities, it also happens instead that it is deeply embroiled in its most negative impulses. This regression can, for example, be driven to alcoholism, circumstances particularly by the accumulation of neurosis. The fact still remains his own sign, values are largely corrupt and can make this portrait vitriolic. The description of the scorpionic or plutonic sign, it can develop more negative or despicable aspect. This picture, of course, applies equally to man than a woman. The negative Scorpio or venomous type. Bestial venomous is primarily focused on sex, declining it so orgiastically. Perverse and obsessive, his whole life is focused on this one area, which in fact spills over to others. It will thus be libidinous, manager, colleague, clip on the buttock, the nymph, the aunt, friend to dirty jokes, the son of the family, shame or exhibitions of a neighbor. If he or she is too ugly to decrypt or too stingy to actually practice he or what she thinks, not think of less all day. Obviously, do not expect great values in the core of a scorpionic negative side, since his life is directed to his growing and not that of love. Friendship, respect, charity are for him waves of abstractions. His will, because it's subjected to domination and its complexity is quite strong. It is demanding, it is critical, it is cruel, and it draws him towards the inclinations, an alternative to his libido. This same autocratic pleasure of enjoyment, it is undoubtedly dangerous because his obsessive mind, that it is able to meet all that energy against one person or one purpose. Besides, he likes to destroy dirty or corrupt things and demeaning and find sick pleasure to define and degrade people and things. In short, this venomous creature is excessive, intractable, sometimes icy, sometimes volcanic, depending on the circumstances and pleasure. For her, the ant justifies the means of personal satisfaction and is above anything else. So thank you. This has been certain characteristics for the sign of Scorpio. It's a water sign and it evokes the middle of autumn, and it's all about disintegration, to be reborn back once again. And for certain people, they like to get to the bottom of things, to get to the heart of the matter. That's what Scorpio people do. They attract and then they corrupt. Certain people do well solving the insoluble things, like the mystery of life. So thank you all for watching. If you have any questions or want to know where Scorpio is in your natal chart, don't hesitate to leave me a message on my Facebook or on the video below. Thank you all for watching.